We're having some technical difficulties, so we're just going to pause here for a second, reflect. All right, good afternoon and welcome to the July 19th Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust meeting. I'll now call the meeting to order. Item 2 is the approval of the minutes from the June 21st trust meeting. Do we have any questions or discussion on that? If not, I will take a motion. We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. And the item passes. Brings us to item 3 on the agenda, ratification of claims. We have a motion on claims. Motion and a second. Please vote. That item passes as well. Brings us to item 4 on the agenda, items for individual consideration. Item 4A is a joint resolution with the City of Oklahoma City renewing agreement of support in connection with debt obligations issued by the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. Joanna is going to explain that item.
I'll take it. I'm sorry.
It says Joanna here.
Yeah,
So.
we switched it up on you last minute.
That's
sorry.
fine.
So this is just the normal annual renewal of those agreements of support where the city has provided a backstop to some of the debt obligations that OKCI has issued. So because of the way state law works, the city has to renew that on an annual basis. And so this is just this year's renewal. It covers 4 obligations. Those are TIF 8 debt obligations, some TIF 2 obligations, the Omni debt obligations, and the First National debt obligations. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Kenny? All right, if not, I'll take a motion. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
I'll do this one too.
And the item passes. Brings us to item 4B on the agenda, release of 12 deeds of declaration of covenants for the Midtown HC LLC Economic Development Project. Kenny?
So if you recall, we had an amendment to the economic development agreements on this project at our last meeting, and this is just a follow-up item. That last meeting amended it so that these releases would be possible. This is just an administrative item to provide for the actual release of the deeds, so it's pretty routine, just a follow-up item.
Any questions, comments? If not, we can take a motion. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And the item passes. All right, brings us to item 4C on the agenda. This is a joint resolution with the City of Oklahoma City and approving an allocation of $3.88 million from Increment District Number 9 Retail Commercial Development Budget Category, the amended and restated Northeast Renaissance Redevelopment Project Plan for assistance in development financing in support of the Hamlin Hotel Project.
Did a lawyer write that sentence?
I'm assuming so because it's a little bit of a run on there. I didn't know if you noticed that or not. Great.
Okay.
If we could get maybe a period or comma in there.
Well, I'll give just a couple of quick comments on this, and then Sandino Thompson with the developer will get up and give a little bit of a presentation. This is an exciting project, and it went to council this morning, but this is approximately $26 million boutique hotel on Northeast 23rd Street. So this item would be, the initial approval, the allocation for $3,880,000 from TIF 9 for this hotel project. As part of this request, and and Sandino will talk a little bit more about, kind of the financing structure, but it's a deal that includes new market tax credits and, the rest of their financing package. They've requested to have this money up front. Part of the resolution is that it authorizes us to borrow the funds from the GOLT funds to fund this up front. And kind of like we've done on previous deals, it also provides some flexibility to the city in the future that if something were to go awry and the GOLT funds, there wasn't enough increment to pay the GOLT funds back, it would allow the city to either make a choice to pay that back or to forgive the GOLT funds. And again, that's not something for the developer, that's a benefit for the city, flexibility of the city. We will, this is the initial allocation, but when we come back with the economic development agreement, there's a couple of items that I want to make sure we alert you to, and that is we've tried to be very conservative with these projections, and there is a scenario where if we look at our most conservative scenario, it could be possible that the increment generated over time could fall a little bit short of what we're providing up front. But to mitigate that, we've worked with developers, and we're going to work with them in the EDA to put in something where they would help make up some of that difference. On top of that, because we're doing the funds up front, they are, as we do with any other project, we kind of do with this, like we've done the First National or the Omni or the Homeland deal, when we put funds in up front, we're getting completion guarantees from the development group just to ensure we get as much protection as we can for the city and the trust, during that construction period. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sandino, let him tell you more about the project, and then we can all answer any questions you might have.
Appreciate your time today and opportunity to talk to you about our project. As Kenny mentioned, this is the third phase of the East Point development on Northeast 23rd Street. The city and the Economic Development Trust were instrumental in supporting the first two phases. We've had some pretty significant success in this development, being a catalyst for economic development and revitalization efforts along the corridor on Northeast 23rd Street. So the first two phases were 40,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet of medical, 20,000 square feet of representative retail. Those projects, phase 1 is stabilized. Phase 2 will be stabilized this year. And that was the retail side, which a lot of the retail tenants actually opened during the pandemic. So that's something that we're sort of celebrating. And as I mentioned to City Council earlier, this project has been a labor of love, not just on the development side, but I think also for the community. It's intentionally inclusive, intentionally designed to help spur economic activity and revitalization as part of the Northeast Renaissance area, effort. And so this phase 3 is the third phase. It was the last parcel of property as part of this development, and it was an empty parcel of land. So it's new construction, which also makes it a little bit different. The first 2 phases were adaptive reuse, and so this will be new construction. In going through that, we really kind of thought about what the right kinds of uses would be. We evaluated doing more retail. We evaluated some multifamily. One of the things that's important is that we continue to create some density and the sense of place here at 23rd and Rhode Island, which is just a few blocks off of Martin Luther King, and a place where the city, through maps and some other efforts, is making significant investments in both infrastructure and in the built environment. So when we start thinking about scale, we actually landed on a hospitality concept. So we're looking at a 77-key hotel concept. It will have a rooftop event space that will be specifically kind of adapted for things like small weddings, but large receptions. We'll have event space that can hold over around 150 people. We'll have a bar and some food and beverage upstairs as well. It will have a ground floor pool, which will be something that will be interesting to sort of create and drive activity. And this will all be wrapped around 77 rooms. It's intentionally boutique, intentionally small, but this area is in a deficit of sort of hospitality, if you will. This will be the nearest hotel to all of the activities and attractions that are at the Adventure District, for example. So the Zoo Amphitheater, when it's bringing concerts in town, the Remington Park, the Softball Hall of Fame with the Softball World Series and some of those activities, the Cowboy Hall of Fame, those areas. This will be the nearest hospitality to that. We see that as an advantage. We see its proximity to the Clara Looper Museum that is to open over the next few years as a MAPS program. An advantage. We're actively engaged in collaborating with them on how to make sure this space complements the things that they want to do with that space. And we also see it as being a driver of activity. So one of the last and maybe just as important elements of the development is the ground floor retail is going to be 7 micro retail units. They're going to be set up to act really as incubator spaces. So it will be set up to help spur and create easy access for small businesses and entrepreneurs that have street-facing space, storefront space. 3 of those units will actually have access to a commercial kitchen, so they'll be able to do food and beverage operations, and we're really anticipating some complementary uses to having a hotel, which is kind of what made that all wrap together. We'll get some retail, but the goal is that those 7 spaces will help to incubate businesses that if they struggle and have challenges, 20% of businesses fail in the first year, then it's not going to be the end of the world. It actually allows you to sort of, pull yourself back up and try the next thing. But as you see success, we're actually hopeful that those businesses will then repopulate and be able to grow into larger spaces along 23rd Street. So the retail in this incubator idea is really exciting. So the mechanics of the deal is about 60,000 square feet. We can go to the next slide. And then the team that we have assembled. So my development partners with Pivot, Jonathan Dodson, Candace Bates, and David Wanzer on the first 2 phases. But as this is an evolution of the efforts there at East Point and on 23rd Street, we also have the benefit of some tenants and some folks that we've gotten to know through the development of East Point that are actually partners in this project. So Monarch Properties is a minority woman-owned construction company, is partnering, and they're actually contributing and helping to oversee the construction process and the design, which is an area of expertise they've built up. And then Cordell Love, who is a tenant at East Point. He started out in one of the smaller spaces just before the pandemic, actually grew into a larger space that does events. He's a creative. He's actually a vet who moved back to Oklahoma City, wanted to do business here. So they do events and and creative space, but he's interested in real estate development. One of the hallmarks of this project is we want to see incremental development. We want to see inclusive development. So Cordell is an example of a group of young professionals who have expressed interest in real estate development that we're trying to figure out ways and opportunities to connect them to. So he'll be a part of this development project as well. And then lastly, because we have had the chance to talk to folks about the viability and the thought and concept of this kind of hospitality development on 23rd Street, we have David Davis and Dar Yasseri. They are part of a very well-established hospitality group. They run they have run and have experience with several different types of hotel operations, have experience at OSU's hospitality program, both as instructors and consultants there, are currently working on projects both here in Oklahoma City, in different parts of the state, and in North Texas. They are very interested, very excited about this program, and have kind of been giving us insight on how to put this together with this kind of boutique concept and really make it successful. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions or any feedback from the group.
Go ahead.
Sandino, what's the time frame for your micro businesses and startups? How much time are you allowing them?
So our hope, and this is still a little early, so what we have are a lot of workforce development partners, including Metro Tech, actually including one of the other groups that you'll hear from shortly that I work with as well. So our hope is to actually think about how much of this can be sort of some mix of teaching and those kind of experiences. So we're generally going to look at short-term leases. So we'll probably look to lease the space for like a year. But our goal is to build a program around it where we might have two of the spaces that have food and beverage concepts and partner with some local organizations to actually run an incubator program for food and beverage through there. Same thing with the retail. So we want to do that training. So it'll be flexible and adaptable, but we're looking at short-term leases. If you have to break it or whatever because things aren't going the right direction, so be it, and then we'll look to move to the next space. One of the lessons we learned, I know you didn't ask this, and I told Chairman Stone I can tend to talk long, but one of the aspects that we learned from East Point, from the representative retail in the second phase, was being able to bridge that gap. People still have challenges with access to capital. Entrepreneurs have good ideas, or they have successful businesses other places, but when they are looking to relocate in Northeast Oklahoma City, we still have some systemic issues that we're working through with financing and access to capital. So we're planning in our proposal to build out that space essentially beyond white box. So it'll be semi-finished out where you just bring in your FF&E, essentially, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So if somebody has to recycle through that space, we'll kind of be set up for it.
Got it. Well, having been involved in a new business startup in the food category, I mean, it takes a lot of hard work, but it also provides the funding and the marketing guidance, all of that is critical for them to be successful. So just make sure you surround them with all those aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. So Northeast Renaissance is one of the partners that's actually been instrumental in a lot of the activity along Northeast 23rd Street. The conversations with the Chamber, with Small Business Development community, with Metro Tech and some of their efforts. We hope to connect. We actually hope for this to be a blueprint for what it looks like with the H.B. Foster Center to think about incubating some businesses and things as well. So all of those things are kind of being taken into consideration with what we would develop over the next few years. Yep.
Any other questions? Comments? If not, I can take a motion for the item. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. The item passes.
Yep, thank you.
Congratulations. Very excited about the project. All right, brings us to item 4D on the agenda. This is a joint resolution with the City of Oklahoma City approving an allocation not to exceed $975,000, with $325,000 of that amount allocated from the hotel's commercial development budget category of increment district number 2, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Joanne.
Write that too?
Yes.
Good afternoon. So the $975,000 is comprised of $325,000 from TIF 2 and $650,000 from TIF 8. For those of you that recall the economic development agreement that we did with Griffin Communications, this is structured very similar to that. So Public Strategies will give you a presentation and talk about their project, but just as kind of some background, the funding from TIF 2 would be tied to that renovation of their the location that they're looking at, and they would receive that over 2 or 3 years after they complete the process, and it would be a percentage of their increment generated on that project. The $650,000 is tied to the jobs that they plan to bring down. So they're gonna bring 73 jobs from their existing facility and add at least 24 new jobs, paying an average wage of $86,600 a year. So I will turn it over to Sammy Cravens to give us a presentation.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here today. Good to see you, everyone. I'm here from Public Strategies, and I want to talk about our relocation of our corporate headquarters to 2 Northeast 9th Street. And on the screen, you can see our mission. Our mission ties to touch lives, drive change, and do good well. So our history, we were formed in 1990 by Mary Myrick. She was a one-woman operation for many years. I actually came on board in 2003, at which time we had about 16, 17 employees. Now we have over 200, around 250 full and part-time people. Our work, we're a nationally respected consulting, project management, and strategic communications firm. And we provide innovative solutions on federal, state, and local clients. Our primary clients in Oklahoma are Department of Human Services, and on the federal level, it's Health and Human Services, Office of Family Assistance. So we deliver research-informed direct services to financially vulnerable Oklahomans. We operate a few projects related to relationships and helping people have a healthy relationship after the birth of a child, as well as strengthening father involvement with the children, as well as workforce and economic development activities. Our people, we're really proud of the people that we have that work with us. We have a very diverse population in all ways, ethnicities, religion, backgrounds, experience, education, and we're really excited about the people in our firm. We've been named Best Places to Work 12 years and counting. We're counting on this year, but we haven't received the results yet. Our leadership team is comprised of Mary Myrick as President and CEO, and then I serve as Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer. We have a strong team of vice presidents. You can see one familiar face. He's on every slide, I think. Gosh. But we have a group of people. These people are all in Oklahoma City and function in various areas across our company. Right now, our locations are at 3 East Main Street in a building that we lease from the Stanley Systems Group, the Elliots, and that office is our service center where we work with participants in our programs. At Atrium Tower North, we have most of our corporate staff personnel there. And then at East Point, we have a couple of suites there where we serve participants, particularly in that area. We also serve people in the American Jobs Center, sorry. Since he's here, I'm going to make him work a little bit. At Northeast 50th Street, and then we have offices in McAllister, Muskogee, and Eufaula, where we serve with workforce development opportunities. So we love Oklahoma City, and although we relocated some people up to the north area, as Northwest 63rd and Lake Hefner Parkway, we are excited to get back downtown and be in the area where we are opening our new building. And that is the project I'm here to talk to you about today. We have hired engineering firms, landscape firms, architecture firms, and construction firms from Oklahoma City to do this work. And our current building, as you can see on the left, on the next 2 or 3 slides, very dark, gloomy, and uninhabitable. And then you can see the renderings on the right are what we expect the place to look like when we finish. There will be a lot of streetscape work that we do. There'll be kind of a park area where people can sit on benches and bicycles and can come there. So we also hope to have a piece of art and maybe some kind of unique activities out there. The relocation results will bring about $8.4 million worth of payroll downtown, 97 employees. I've already exceeded that number, I believe, but we didn't want to make the change at the last minute. Average pay per staff member will be around $87,000 per person. The types of jobs you can see on this list: technology, marketing, events and logistics, technical assistance, human resources, accounting, compliance, and operations. So we are really relocating a large number of people to that area, and they're generally pretty high-paying jobs because you get the technology people mixed in there, and those are really nice jobs to relocate. Site layout: on the north we have 9th Street. It's actually Northeast 9th Street. It's bordered by Oklahoma Avenue, which runs parallel to I-235 on the east. And then on the west side is the BNSF Railroad, which runs parallel to Broadway. We bought 47,000 square feet of buildings. To the far left, at the top, is Building A, which is about 34,000 square feet. Building B is there in the middle, and that's about 7,000 square feet. And then Building C is there on the right-hand side, and that's really mostly a storage unit, big 6,000 square foot storage building. And then we bought a parking lot on 8th Street that backs up, where we will have parking as well. So that's the footprint of our project. Infrastructure upgrades: parking lot improvements of about $820,000 to resurface and stripe and asphalt and light, all that kinds of thing. Fencing. Streetscape cost. The estimate is from Timberlake Construction of $618,000, and that's all for the area on 9th Street that's in front of our building. And then utilities are broken out. We are having to increase the pipeline size from 4 inches to 6 inches where the water main comes into our building, so that's another $109,000. So about $1.5 million in infrastructure upgrades. And then I just once again want to talk about kind of the area there where you see some benches and some landscaping plants. These are all within the code of the City of Oklahoma City. There will be quite a few trees planted around, particularly I think more in the south side of the area where we have parking and an entrance for employees, but this is our main entrance. Sources and uses of funds: you can see we have equity in the project, we have a loan with our bank, cash from other operations, and then increment District 8 financing. District 2 is our ad valorem tax reduction in the future years, so that doesn't show up on here. Uses of funds: you can see it's about a $17 million project when all is said and done. And then that's the front. We had looked at orange as well as blue. We're huge Thunder fans. And we decided on the blue. It's a little more corporate looking. The orange kind of looked like a jungle gym, but it was fun, especially if your favorite color is orange. But we threw a little orange in there anyway. So right now that's how the renderings look, and I think we'll end up with something similar to that. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, comments? No? All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. With no questions, we can go ahead and, I'm sorry, what? All right. We'll do a verbal motion in a second.
Second. Yeah. Okay, and
Yes, please.
you just ask everyone to say aye.
All right. Go ahead and please say aye. Yeah. Aye. Thank you. All right, that brings us to item 5 on the agenda, General Manager Reports.
Don't have a lot to say on this. There's just, in your packet, I think the general manager report has a lot of the financial information. I don't think there was anything unusual in there, so if there's any questions, be happy to answer them or find the answer for you.
Punctuation. That's the only question I would have.
Punctuation,
Yes.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Zoodle. Any questions on the general manager reports? No? Item 6 on the agenda is comments from staff. Any comments from staff?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make one. Today will be my last formal meeting before the trust, and I've enjoyed my 15 to 20 years of economic development, and I will miss being here, being a part of what we've done. We've done so much. I think about it and it's just overwhelming what we've done. And I appreciate all the support that I've gotten from everybody over the years. You'll be in good hands with Amy Douglas taking over, but I will be around. They want me to come back as a consultant, so I will be around. So.
Well,
Thank you all.
congratulations and thank you for everything that we've done.
And you're all invited to my retirement party on August 4th.
August 4th. We'll put it on the calendar. Any other comments?
We're going to miss you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indeed. You will be missed.
Do we have any citizens that have signed up to speak? If not, that brings us to item 7, which is adjournment. We are adjourned.